Welcome. So you know that quote from Pirates of the Caribbean where they say, if you were waiting for the opportune moment, that was it? Well, I realize about myself that I tend to do that very thing where I'm waiting for everything to be perfect before I do something that I really want to do. And since the conditions are pretty much never going to be exactly perfect, I end up doing a lot of waiting around that I don't really want to do. So today I realized that I have been waiting around for stones to magically appear to fit in the bottoms of my little containers, my little planting containers, before I planted my seeds and made a video. And so that stops right now. I'm going to make this little video of planting my seeds, and it really is this easy. I bought some organic-ish potting mix, and I'm gonna cut the top of that open. It's resealable, thank goodness. And actually I'm going to use this as a scoop because a trowel makes sense when you're digging in a large area of dirt, but not as much sense when you're just kind of digging into a tiny bag of dirt. Now, I just now realized that I bought something from Miracle-Gro. I apologize. It said organic and it was a little cheaper and a little bigger than the other organic mix that they had in a small size that I could actually carry myself. Plus, these are tiny containers. This is a ton of dirt. I'll be able to do this for a while just off of that. So I might have spent the extra 50 cents if I'd been looking a little more carefully at the packaging. So what I have today are basically 2 containers, maybe 3, but really, no, 3 containers, maybe 4. But really what I know I'm going to plant, I've got thyme and I've got oregano that I'm looking forward to. And then I've got all these other ones that I actually have purchased and have been hoarding for months, but I'm not sure that any of them will do well indoors in a little tiny container. Oh, I've got a microgreens basil mix, so that would be really good. I did pretty well here, actually. I've got a salad sprouts mix, baby greens mix, calendula, which is actually really great for keeping bugs and stuff out of your garden. If I'm thinking of the right thing, I'm probably not. Yeah, marigolds. Marigolds are pretty good for that. And calendula itself is actually a wonderful healing herb. It's very soothing and it's got a lot of kind of natural, what I would call oiliness to it. So people tend to make lip gloss out of calendula, but it's also great for soothing any sort of rough or injured skin surfaces. It's good internally for similar things. At the same time, when you use things like this to soothe or to coat or to protect, you want to be careful that you're not sealing bad bacteria in. Oh, and I need to say this, and it's so true. I am not a doctor. I am not a certified herbalist. I am not a naturopath who is also a doctor. So I'm just sharing what I'm doing for me and what I do in my household. I highly recommend that you do your own research, find your own trusted sources and books. I love Rosemary Gladstar, for example. She's written a large number of extremely helpful guides to working with herbs in your home for various kitchen medicine type uses. And I actually took a weekend workshop through a community college a long time ago that taught the basics and beginnings of how to make your own ointments for kitchen medicine, and just really walked us through the basics of working with herbs in the kitchen in a medicinal capacity, which was really fabulous and got me going. And I think I might just start with the herbs for now. The greens and sprouts would be lovely, but I probably want a slightly wider container. Now, I also have cats that like to munch on things, any things. So my plan is actually to not fill these up very high with dirt and I don't have the rocks that I wanted to put in the bottom for drainage, so I'll be a little more careful with the watering is my plan. But this way I'm gonna not have the dirt too high so that the greens can grow inside the pot hopefully for a while before they come out. And if I get desperate, I was planning to use the lid. These are just gelato containers. A friend gave me these. He doesn't need them anymore. He's gotten what he wanted out of them. Clearly they're empty. I was going to use these just in case of drips or leaks through the bottom of the container, but I actually could poke holes in the top for air since plants need oxygen and carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide and things like that. So I could actually turn these into little tiny terrariums in my own kitchen if I had to protect them from the cats. That's just part of why I'm using these. This one is beautiful and I love it and I'm going to use it, but I'm going to have to fill it up higher, which means it'll have a better root base for the plants. But if I don't, they won't get any sun, and they're going to need sun in order to grow. So it also will not be as protected. And I'm just realizing that it's much more breakable than these plastic things, but that also means it's much more organic, so nothing is going to leach from this and be sucked in through the roots and become part of my plant, which then as I eat the herbs and use them in cooking and medicine, I know that these will be pretty safe herbs. They're coming from an organic potting soil, they are organic seeds, and their container is not leaching chemicals. These, not so sure, but I'll take the risk because I want to get these planted. I'm so excited. Okay, so here we go. This is how you start planting stuff. Now it'd be nice, again, like I said, if I had some rocks, I would probably be placing just a small layer of them in the bottom of this because that leaves a space for water to sit at the bottom to drain out of the soil, which can be pretty important. And I'm pushing this down, but I'm not packing it down. I don't want it to be a hard surface that the plants can't actually, let's see, where's the light coming from? I guess I can't really show you the inside of that. I want the roots to be able to penetrate through the dirt, but I also want to make sure that when I add water, the dirt doesn't disappear into the bottom. So I want a decent amount of dirt and settling to already have happened. There. So there's that. Oh, let's see. I think that thyme would be the perfect thing to grow in this, actually. Thyme or oregano. Thyme, yeah, we're going to put some thyme in there. So let's see, along the back of these, usually there's this information, like actually read the labels because they have information about the seeds. So this actually says you can plant it anytime from February to June. It likes full sun. You're not going to plant it very deep, only 1/8 of an inch. And one way to actually get that depth is to sprinkle the seeds on top. I've got a cat hair in my mouth, hang on. And now also some very organic dirt. Huh. Anyway, to sprinkle the seeds on top and then just very gently sprinkle a little bit of dirt on top of the seeds. Space seeds very thinly, so I'm not going to put a lot of seeds. I mean, this is a very small container. It's maybe not even 3 inches across the top. It says it takes 2 to 3 weeks to germinate, and the mature height will only be 8 to 12 inches. This actually is a cascading plant, so it will hopefully grow much further out than just the container. I'm looking forward to this. So I'm just going to tear the edge off because then I can pour a couple of seeds out and fold the rest over to plant again another time, like maybe even next year. So let's see here. These are tiny, tiny seeds, tiny, tiny seeds. And I'm not so worried. There, I've got probably 7 or 8 seeds in my hand right now. Let's see if I can pull. There's 2 pulled out from the rest. So I'm going to actually put a few in here just because every once in a while a seed won't germinate, and that way I've got a very good chance that at least 1 or 2 will. And if there's all of them germinate, I can always pull out some of the seedlings and let the rest keep growing. There's that, and then, oops, not this one. So again, it only wants, there's a clump. We'll just put that in the bottom of the next one. There. So I have very carefully, oh, screen went dark. So you get to see my hand a bunch because I can't see it. There, so I'm not going to pack this down. I'm literally just sort of gently patting it for evenness. You don't want to smush it down with the seeds because, again, they really won't be able to grow up out of there. And again, when I water it, I'm going to be really careful about the pressure of the water hitting the dirt because I don't want to dislodge the seeds, but also I don't want to pack them down in there too far to germinate. So it can be kind of a challenge. In fact, I think one thing that people do a lot is they'll put the dirt in and water the dirt as a way of making sure that it's, you know, already compacted a little bit naturally, and then they'll add the seeds and the fresh dirt on top of that. So the seeds have the water without you having to pour water on top, but I didn't think of that, and I'm really just excited to get these into the dirt. Yay, there's one. It's done. It just needs a little water, which I don't really have a good way of giving it right now, but I will get creative and figure that out. So here's the next one. Dirt. And like I said, this one, these ones, I'm not going to plant as deeply. And I kind of picked this surface because it's very easy to clean metal surface, so I'm not so worried about getting dirt everywhere. And I was smart. I did bring water. It's just not exactly a gentle pitter-patter kind of water. So I'm going to just kind of get the water in there. So again, I don't want to push it down too hard because when these little tiny baby seeds start sprouting, I want their little delicate roots to be able to get through the dirt and not just be stuck on top in that 1/8 inch layer of dirt on the top. All right, so there's one. Might as well make this one the basil blend. Whoops, excuse me. Technical difficulties, I think that's called. So here's the basil blend. What does it tell me? It says, wow, I might see this by the end of the week. It takes like 5 to 10 days to emerge. The seeds want to be a little deeper, 1/4 of an inch. There's a very specific seed spacing of a 1/4 to 1/2 inch, so I could actually plant a bunch of them in here. And then it's only like, well, they're calling these microgreens and they're calling them baby basil. So they're actually saying that you can start harvesting in like 2 to 3 weeks after you plant them, which is cool. And what I'm curious about is if I let some of these go, will they create more seeds of their own? Like, are they self-propagating at all? Or are they like the, you know, manufactured seeds where you actually have to keep buying the chemically created seeds every year because your plant is sterile? Whoa, I almost cut my cord here. Oh, that would be bad. And is unable of creating seeds that can grow. And of course they do that intentionally to continue the market, which is why I really much prefer organic and heirloom seeds. All right, so these are the basil seeds. They're quite a bit bigger. There's an individual right there. These are about the size of mouse turds. Yep. So yeah, anyway, you've seen those. Okay, so these, I'm actually going to seed a lot of these around, and you can be as careful or not careful as you want because it's your garden. And it's all one grand experiment, and it's going to be fabulous. And, you know, what grows, grows, and what doesn't grow, doesn't grow, and it's okay. There, so there's that, and now I need more dirt. And, you know, people get fancy. They will actually put their dirt through a sieve to, like, keep the lumps out, which I think, again, I might have made this a little thicker than they wanted, but that's okay. There. So that's a very not packed down surface layer. Hopefully it's about 1/4 of an inch. Not going to worry about it too much. They're seeds. They like dirt. They want to grow. And we'll see what comes of that. So that's the basil. I probably should have a little way to label these, but again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a start. And I'll probably be able to tell by the smell once they get going what is what, which I'm pretty excited about. So, last one. And let's see here. Now the thyme, I actually almost want to get another pretty thing out to grow the thyme in. But you know what, or the oregano in. That's okay. I will have extra seeds, so if I want to grow more later on, I can. So here's this. I'm going to add the dirt, or I've added the dirt. I'm going to add the water. And I'm really trying not to drown my dirt. I'm trying to spread the water out over it. And what's interesting is that as I'm doing that, it's just even that little delicate dribble has made these holes and valleys in there. Let's see. I'm not sure this is getting very well, but it's I'm going to help it just a little bit, and again, I'm not shoving it down solidly because I want the seeds to be able to get through, but I am making sure that it's not just going to let the water go through set channels now, because the water creates channels for itself and it can just pool on the bottom, and that's not actually going to help your seeds get water and grow at all until the roots are tall enough to reach the water at the bottom, if you let it do that. So since I don't have a good watering method right now, I actually did tamp things down a little bit just to disrupt the water pathways. And I just learned my lesson on the last one, so I'm going to use the scissors very carefully. All right, so oregano, 5 to 10 days to emerge. Seed depth is 1/8 to 1/4 inch. They say take a pinch of seeds every 20 inches, so I'm just going to put 1 pinch of seeds right in the middle there. You can thin it out then when it's 2 to 3 inches tall. This is the oregano. This is a less pungent, this is a milder oregano flavor. It's the traditional variety for medicinal use. Oh yay, that's a happy accident. Leaves can be used as fresh or dried, and the pretty pink to the flowers appear from midsummer to fall. And so I'm a little late starting these according to the packet, but really I'm experimenting to see what I can grow indoors whenever I want, so I'm not too worried about that. Trying to get the seeds out now, and they don't really want to come. Unless they're so tiny that I cannot even see them in my hand, which is totally possible. What? Oh! They fooled me. There's another container inside the container. All right, we'll try this again. So, this should pour out a little better now. Woo, yeah, it did. So, let's see, so I can see this. So, can you see these? There are 3 little tiny ones. separated out from all of the others. It's a huge pile of them in my palm. These are actually the tiniest of all of the seeds. I don't even know if I would be able to find them to collect them from the plant if I let it go to seed. So I'm just going to pour these hopefully right there in the middle. Who knows? I can't see them now, but I'm excited. And I'm going to pour a little dirt over the top. And again, I feel like I put a little more dirt than a quarter of an inch, so I'm spreading it out just a little bit, very carefully with my fingers, and we're calling it good. So now I have my oregano and my basil and my thyme. And in fact, I'll be able to tell with these two just based on where they sprout up from which plant is which in the very early stages. One of the things I learned the last time I had a garden, which was 6 or 7 years ago now, was that the very, very first sprouting of a seed does not always look a lot like the plant it's going to grow into. So even though I know what basil looks like when it's grown and smells like, the baby stage, I may not be able to tell what's a weed and what's a basil. Or if I was growing all of these together and I was planting them in amongst each other, I might not be able to tell which was which in order to thin them appropriately. Excuse me while I yell at my cat. So anyway, I'm really excited. I'll give you a little update on these. I need to find a sunny spot where the cats are not likely to dig into the dirt or eat the seedlings. Adventures with cat ownership, or being owned by cats, I guess you could say. So thanks for joining me for this conversation and this little bit of kitchen wisdom. One of the things that I love about these particular herbs is that all of them have great culinary purposes just for regular cooking. They're easy to dry, but also they all have strong medicinal properties. So if you watched my last video about kitchen medicine, I talked quite a bit about thyme, and cloves actually were my other big one, I think. But thyme and all of its many purposes around the home, that I use it for at least, which you don't have to. So that said, thanks for joining me, and I'll talk with you again soon.